Hi guys, this is Dr. Pritesh Singh, your surgery faculty. With me is Dr. Bhavjeet, who secured 205 marks in July FMG 2023. Congratulations, Bhavjeet. Tell us
Thank you,
something
sir.
about yourself.
So my name is Bhavjeet Walia. I live in Pune. I did my MBBS from SSR Medical College in Mauritius. Graduated in December of last year. This was my first attempt in FMGE, and yeah.
So, when did you start your preparation?
I think properly I only started studying around Feb. Yeah, beginning or mid of Feb. That's when I officially properly started. Before that, I was only randomly solving questions, listening to people's advice on, how to go about this and
Okay,
what subjects to focus on, what order to follow, all of that stuff.
right. So, what sequence of subjects you followed when you started in Feb?
So
Long
it actually,
subjects, short subjects. You started with main videos, you started with rapid revision.
with me, so a lot of people actually recommended videos because that's, I still think is one of the best ways to actually start studying for a new exam. But with me personally, I feel like I learn better with notes. So what I did was I ordered the printed notes, the rapid revision series of PrepLadder,
Okay,
and it actually took me a couple of attempts to actually start studying. I would think, okay, I'll start this subject. 2 days later, I realized I'm actually not making any progress.
right.
Finally, when I did start, I think the first subject I covered was OBG because it was very
Observation.
fresh. Yeah, it was very fresh in my head, and I thought, better check one thing off instead of just wasting time trying to cover things that I'm not able to cover right now, at least.
Right. So how you were adding the new information in the notes? Suppose you are going to study something, you got some important points. So how you were adding those points in the notes
So any extra information, I think I've mainly added only in bookmarks on the PrepLadder app
itself?
because, yeah, because like I said, I didn't. I'm more of the read to study kind, so I didn't watch a lot of videos except for specific topics where I had like conceptual issues. So most of the information that I thought I needed to revisit were in my bookmarks. And as I kept revising, those bookmarks kept getting refreshed and, until they got, half their size or,
Right.
the high yield information that I actually needed.
Right. So which prep ladder educator is your favorite?
That's a very tough question. I would say Dr. Preeti, because those subjects, it had been a while since I had studied them, and she made it very easy to get back into it. And Dr. Marva is also very fun to listen to. His his lectures are you can estimate an amount of time that you would take to finish medicine, and you can finish it much before you think if you just pick out the topic, the concept which you have problems in, and just visit those concepts, especially in educators like those their lectures. I
Right.
found that to be quite helpful.
Okay. And on daily basis, how many questions you were solving? How much time you were spending in solving QBanks?
It really varied day to day. Uh, on most days, I would say around 100, 150 comfortably. There were days I could do more. There were so many days where I couldn't even do like 50 questions. But I think fair average would be 100 questions.
So at least 100 questions should be done on daily basis.
Yeah.
Okay. And in QBank, the explanation you found, that explanation is sufficient?
For most questions that are asked, yes. And I feel like the places where you feel like it's not sufficient also, at least for me personally, it was a gap in knowledge more than, the sufficiency of
Right.
the information of that answer.
Right.
So when I revisited the concept, revisited the information and, updated my knowledge, then I found it much more helpful.
Right. And how frequently you were, appearing for GTs per month?
In the beginning, quite a lot. I would
Okay.
say Like, that number started to come down as my preparation went forward. Mainly because I use GTs as a way to like plan what I'm gonna study for the rest of the month, for the next week, for the next 2 weeks. And after a point, it felt like there was too much information to cover, which I would be better off putting my time covering that information than doing GTs. Which is
Right.
not to say I didn't do GTs. I did a lot of tests.
Okay. And how to
Yeah.
analyze the GT? Because lots of students are depressed by their scores in GT. So how to analyze it?
Um. So my first tests were pretty horrible too. I think the first test I gave, I got 130 somewhere in that range,
Okay.
and I was furious, like to the level where I didn't even review it for the next few days. I kept thinking about why this level of complexity has to be there for a Q bank uh, suited to the FMG exam, which didn't used to be historically didn't used to be so complex. But the
Right.
truth is, it is getting complex,
Right.
and you know, all the PrepLadder has just gotten ahead of the curve in terms of realizing that okay, yeah, it's going to be complex.
Right.
So the students are probably better off getting used to these kind of questions and pressing themselves through this situation instead of actually just being stressed on the main day of the exam.
Right. So when did you started the revision? I mean, some students are revising on daily basis from the beginning, and some students are doing their study. They are going to complete it, and then they start the revision. So what were yours? What was your approach for that?
Um, so with the revision, I feel like it's a more personal, like it depends on person to person
Right.
what and how much you need to revise. Like for me, for example, surgical specialties or like surgical branches, ENT, ophthal, those were where I was losing my marks, even with basic sciences like anat, biochemistry. These are the subjects where I used to lose my marks. So I had to plan in a way where I could give adequate time to revise those things instead of, like trying to balance out, okay, this subject is high yield, so I need to revise this. The moment I realized that I have to trade my strengths for my weaknesses basically to overall get like a better score, I think that's when most things change.
Okay. You told us that you started with rapid revision notes. So do you think that rapid revision is enough for FMG preparation?
I always find this question very tricky. The is enough is this again I feel depends like person to person because people's understandings and concepts vary wildly. Like there are people who could explain a topic in physiology like it's at the tip of their tongues and they're very proficient at it. And there's other people who don't even understand the concept. So I
Exactly.
feel like what's more important than to look at it as okay, is this going to be enough? Is this going to be enough? I think it's more important to understand where you're lacking in terms of throughout your medical college. What subjects do you feel you were inclined to? What subjects do you feel you had a tough time in? Personally, I think that's what helped me change my preparation from something that would have been a little less valuable to trying to maximize the output of
Right.
the work that I put in.
Right. So sometimes whenever you are revising for the first time, you take too much time.
Yeah,
And in second revision, you are going to realize that yes, the time is in shorter time, you're going to do that. Right.
yeah.
So how to do that basically? How to concise the content from first revision to second revision?
So what I did was I used to mark and highlight things that I want to revisit
Right.
in the notes. Like I said, with QBank, I used to bookmark them. I used to review my bookmarks, all of that stuff.
Right.
Uh, the main thing to realize, which I would like to say to like any juniors watching, is that you need to add a component of self-awareness to your preparation. A lot of the times, it's very easy to get bogged down by the syllabus. 19
True.
subjects is no joke. Every
Right.
exam in the medical field, I feel, is just getting more and more complex, and it's not possible to be proficient in every single subject.
True.
But if you're self-aware, if you know, okay, this is my strength, I can go without revising this. Here, I will lose out on the most amount of marks. So if this subject is predicted to be tested for 30 marks, I need to be better at it, I
True.
need to compensate, trade off where, like my time so I can
Right.
get the most out of it.
So in final revision, what's the role of treasures? Because last at the last moment, you're just craving for the most important high yield information. So what was the role of treasures in the final revision and final preparation?
For me, treasures was mainly like, when you need to study but you can't, you're too stressed, you're too scared, there's so much to do. It's easy to just open up your phone and, browse to
Keep-
treasures. Think of the last question that you got wrong and you got frustrated. Okay, this is a topic that I'm weak in. Might as well just go through treasures. So for me, it was a very passive thing, but I know people who it has helped a lot. Like people who have gone through treasures like religiously, and it's helped, it's paid off, and it's designed beautifully. Like
Right.
the
What's
concept of
what was
treasures.
your last day strategy for the preparation? Because lots of students are confused. What should be their last day strategy one day before exam? What they should do?
Last day strategy, I don't think mine was right anyway. One day before the exam, I had like thick books all over my bed, trying to think of, okay, what should I study, what should I not study. It's easy to panic at that time. It's
Right.
very easy to panic. So I think instead of like giving advice for what you should do on the last day, I'll just validate everyone who will go through it or has gone through it, that it's scary. Like
Right.
you're prone to panic. So I think the best thing you can do one day before is just chill.
True. True. True.
Find things that you enjoy and do those things.
Right. So any special feature of the PrepLadder app which you like most?
The streak and the friend, the thing where you compare your progress with a friend has
Okay.
that competitive flair to it, which is I
Right.
find quite enjoyable.
Right. Right. And any special message, any special regards to some particular faculty in PrepLadder?
Everyone has just been a
Okay.
tremendous help in terms of the way the information is compiled. Uh, I know that all the educators do their best to teach these concepts, but more than that, like the high yield non-conceptual information, I think that's where the beauty lies. Like for someone who wants to score high marks, and even if your concepts are strong, there's so many things that most of us don't study in medical college that are
Right.
non-conceptual that are in those notes that will give you an edge in
Right.
terms of the marks you score, or any test that you have to give, any Q banks that you solve. That information will
Right.
definitely help.
So what should be the special message for the students who are preparing for December session?
I would say cut out the noise. Firstly, hundreds of people have hundreds of things to say.
True.
Uh, Instead of listening to someone say, "Oh, PYQs are helpful, not helpful," I would rather that people make their own list of what they feel that they are strong at, what they feel they're weak at. That's also one of the ways I started. In the beginning, I remember one day I realized I'm not very good with antibiotic coverage, basically
Okay.
in pharmac. So I thought if I can't start studying for the exam, I might as well, pick up on the knowledge that I'll need in the profession, right?
True.
Focus on the knowledge, focus on where you're lacking. If you can fill in those gaps, I feel you're going to be good.
Right. So thank you, Bhavjeet, for this amazing interaction. I'm hoping that students are going to get lots of information for this from this interaction.
Thank you.
Congratulations once again for this amazing 205 marks in July FMG session.
Thank you,
Okay.
sir. Thank you so much.
Good luck, dear. Good luck.